This last community day, we got Frenzy Plant Venusaur. I believe we will get Blast Burn and Hydro Cannon for Charizard and Blastoise respectively in the near future. In the past, I wouldn't be able to run fantasy simulations on these attacks due to limitations by PokeBattler, but thanks to GoBattleSim from GamePress, I am able to add and edit my own moves to the simulator and therefore make my own Blast Burn and Hydro Cannon. For the sake of comparison, I decided to use the same stats from Frenzy Plant for these attacks to give a rough idea of how Charizard and Blastoise would perform with these moves. Charizard and Blastoise aren't going to be our next Community Day Pokemon, that's Ampharos. More stats on that later, but I decided to take these moves under the microscope. Historically, Charizard hasn't been the best Fire-type attacker in Pokemon Go ever. It has always been behind Flareon. And with legendaries like Moltres and Entei coming out, I went further behind in the ratings. As far as Moltres and Entei are concerned, there's always been this kind of debate, this struggle between the two, where Moltres is the higher DPS, but Entei is the higher TDO. And in terms of gymming, Entei has access to Flamethrower and more bulk, which makes it debatably better for gymming. They have their trade-offs, and there's reasons to power up either one. But both stand way far ahead of Charizard. Well, could a Blast Burn that's as powerful as Frenzy Plant change the odds? Looking at the results, it appears that Charizard with Blast Burn, the bottom simulation here, it allows it to outperform Moltres in terms of DPS and TDO. The TDO is roughly the same, and all things considered, the DPS is relatively the same, but this is coming off of a multi-bar charge move. Moltres can only dish out this kind of performance with Overheat, a single bar charge move. So that gives Charizard a lot more utility there. Looking down at Entei, Entei still has lower DPS, but still has much higher TDO. Additionally, Entei still has the single fire typing going on. This means that Entei still has a unique set of resistances compared to the fire flying types, Moltres and Charizard. So there's still some reason, some credence to power up Entei. Once again, Charizard isn't confirmed to be our next Community Day Pokemon. I don't know when we're going to get Charizard, and if we do get Charizard, I have no confirmation that this is what Blast Burn is going to look like. I just mirrored the stats from Frenzy Plant and put a fire typing on it. But looking at this simulation here, if you haven't powered up a Moltres or an Entei yet, and you are considering powering up one or the other, I think favor kind of goes a little bit closer to Entei here. The main reason being is because Entei still has that pure fire typing and can do stuff that Moltres and Charizard can't, or better than they can. As far as power creeping with new attacks go, Ho-Oh has this signature move called Sacred Fire that's not yet in Pokemon Go. Entei can also learn this signature move, Sacred Fire. So if Sacred Fire comes into Pokemon Go, then that would let Entei get a boost that it's currently not getting. So all these factors considered, I'd weigh Entei a little bit higher than Moltres. But if you already powered up a Moltres, don't sweat it, man. It is the best fire-type attacker for raids that we have right now. There's no knowing when we're going to get Charizard, and if we do get a Blast Burn Charizard, we don't know if it's going to have these cool stats that Frenzy Plant has, so it might not be this cool. Well, let's get on to Blastoise. Pulling up the stats on Hydro Cannon Blastoise, it appears that it's not exactly making waves. It's still behind the legendary Pokemon Kyogre, but it's a bit further than Gyarados. I'd say it's about equal to Gyarados. Definitely better than Aquatail Vaporeon. I was surprised that Blastoise made it as far as Gyarados in these simulations, given how poor it is in Pokemon Go right now. Charizard is actually kind of viable. If you don't have an Entei or Moltres powered up and you have a powered up Charizard, it's basically as good as Flareon without Blast Burn. Blastoise, on the other hand, is just bad. It sucks. There's tons of water types that are great. Blastoise isn't one of them. But with Hydro Cannon, it can be. So that's pretty interesting. We'll have to see where the chips actually fall if/when a Hydro Cannon Blastoise does come out. And if you are on the fence about powering up a Kyogre, it looks like Kyogre is not going to get threatened by this turtle. Blast Burn Charizard and Hydro Cannon Blastoise. Looks like we got some power creep incarnate right there. However, neither are our next Community Day Pokemon. Our next Community Day Pokemon is Ampharos. So I decided to run some simulations on that. As far as Ampharos goes in the game right now, it doesn't appear to have the makings of a great attacker, no matter what sort of change happens to its move pool. One thing I can say with certainty, being kind of an expert on gym defense here. If Ampharos does get a multi-bar charge move out of Community Day, it will become a much more viable gym defender because Volt Switch is such a great move on defense with its high base power. So I got my fingers crossed for any sort of multi-bar charge move for Ampharos on Community Day. But let's consider, what if Ampharos got the Frenzy Plant of electric type moves? Here you have it, folks. The numbers don't lie. It appears that if Ampharos gets Shockwave, and Shockwave is as powerful as Frenzy Plant, then that puts it basically in Raikou range. Now Raikou is still better than Ampharos in this situation, but Ampharos is a Pokemon that we can actually get at any given point in time in the game. Raikou is this elite legendary Pokemon that we haven't seen since its first release. And on top of that, you wouldn't have to use Rare Candy to power up Ampharos this far, because you can actually like hatch it and catch it. So it's like budget Raikou right there. That's pretty impressive. So if Ampharos does get electric type Frenzy Plant, I'm calling it Shockwave here, then that could do a lot to shake it up in the offensive meta. Not even considering Shockwave, if it is like Frenzy Plant, it would be a multi-bar charge move. That means Ampharos would probably become a top tier defender too. So man, you want to know about power creep? It exists in these Community Day charge moves, am I right? Pretty excited to see what actually happens on Community Day. So there you have it, guys. If we get Blastburn, and Blastburn is as good as Frenzy Plant, then Charizard, not only just Charizard, but the shiny Charizard, could become even better than Moltres and Entei in Pokemon Go. Hydro Cannon on Blastoise, it doesn't do much to threaten the god of the sea, Kyogre, but it does put Blastoise on more equal footing with other great water types, such as Gyarados. Also considering if Ampharos, the actual next Community Day Pokemon, if it gets a Frenzy Plant of electric type charge moves, that actually puts it in range of Raikou in performance, meaning it's like a budget Raikou. That's kind of scary, to be honest. And then thinking about Ampharos as a gym defender with that, dang. let's see what Pokemon Go actually does. I'm pretty excited. Now, if you're curious, you want to run these kind of simulations on your own, you can use GoBattleSim on GamePress. They have an add edit move feature, and you can make up any move you want to. Just keep in mind that if you hit refresh or close it and come back to it, you'll have to add those moves again. It doesn't save it to the simulator. You can also add or edit new Pokemon in the game. So if you're curious what these Gen 4s look like, you could also use GoBattleSim for that. So GoBattleSim, very open, very nice. If you're interested in using it, I highly suggest using Bioweapon's video guide, link in the description to that. If you like this content and you want to see more, then make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. And if you'd like to see some more, I guess, predictive future kind of analyses using GoBattleSim, then comment below and let me know what you'd like to see. I can do Gen 4, 5, 6, 7. I can make up attacks you ain't never even heard of and run sims on them and see how they compare in the current meta for this game. And thanks for watching. SwagTips. If you liked it, give me a like.